all right, I want to know nothing about these strains before I go in. I don't want to know the THC content. I don't want to know if this is an indica or sativa. I want to go in totally fresh, science mind here, and just actually see how does it feel to run with this strain in my system.
I always get hung up on the fact, especially when you're doing research, it's hard to control for everything.
Yeah.
So what if you're doing this research on, okay, how well can your body recover after exposure to THC? How do you know what that person's eating? Are you controlling for the meals that they're eating, how often they're eating, the quality of the food? Are they eating processed food? Are they eating natural food? Are they eating a lot of sugar? Are they smoking cigarettes? Are they drinking alcohol that week as well? How do you control for all of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's all part of that process of figuring out like the right like what and actually like what's most important for the outcome, like what are you really trying to investigate here. And so I know that for some studies they'll have people come in like at night, they'll give them some kind of meal and then come in first thing in the morning, and so there's not a lot of variability, and then specifically choose people who are not, cigarette smokers, like anyone who is a cigarette smoker or like has alcohol like within that period of time are just not part of the study, so you just exclude them from the study. But yeah, there's so many different things to control, and that's something that I think about all the time, because I guess for the last 2 summers I've been playing around with my own understanding of how cannabis affects my own performance. And so this summer I've been smoking only weed from my friend's farm, from Canna Country Farm. And so I've been systematically going through all of their strains with my types of exercise I do. I run and I do yoga and I climb. And so I'm like, all right, I want to know nothing about these strains before I go in. I don't want to know the THC content. I don't want to know if this is an indica or sativa. I want to go in totally fresh, science mind here, and just actually see how does it feel to run with this strain in my system. And that's when I started getting in my head of like, well, have I, is it hotter today? Have I had the same amount of water today? Like when did I last eat? And because I know that those things probably affect my performance, but I'm, it's like, this is not official science. I can kind of calm down a little bit and just enjoy the process of understanding this. But it's been a really fun process of trying to figure out what actually works well, and and realizing like, yeah, not all weed's the same. There are certain strains that I'm just like, absolutely never use this with running again. This was terrible.
Have you noticed anything with that? Like a certain strain does affect your performance in a different way?
Yeah. There's been a couple of strains from it's number 9 and number 26 from Canna Country. All of their...
Oh, you don't even know the name of it. You have it.
Those are the official names.
Okay.
They're crosses of different things. I'm not sure. He names his strains just numbers.
I thought this was you just writing it down. Like,
no.
Trying to keep it abstract to a certain degree. I was like, wow, you really are into it.
Yeah, no, that's just what they're named. But there's certain strains that I've experienced where some are, I'm like, wow, I am fully in my head. I am like not at all in my body right now, but that feels good. Like that I'm able to just let my body do what it needs to do to run. Like your body knows how to run. Like, yeah, okay, have fun in your head right now. And then other strains where I guess like with number 9, especially that I've realized with yoga, I'm like, I feel strong. Like when I look around, it's just like, wow, I really am strong right now, and just totally dissociate from who I am and just can get in the flow of moving my body and just feeling like really strong in my body. And so, yeah, it's like a really interesting, fun experience of figuring out what kind of experience I want to have with exercise.
Are you testing method of consumption as well?
That's something I'm also interested in. I've realized recently that, so yoga, I go to hot yoga at Old School Hot Yoga, and it's an hour and a half. And so I would play around because it's a longer period of time. I always think about if you're exercising for a longer period of time, then maybe try an edible because it lasts for longer. And so I would take an edible before, like a half an hour before yoga, so it would kick in like while I'm already in the flow of yoga, and then smoke like in my car right before like I walk in the door. And so I still feel like the effects of the smoking right away, and then it slowly turns into the edible high. And I'm realizing now, like, I actually don't like that edible high that I get in the middle of it. I would actually rather, let myself just enjoy the smoking aspect of it. Like I don't like feeling lightheaded, and I definitely notice now, like, oh yeah, I do feel lightheaded when I go from sitting to standing, when I have the edible in my system. And it's like, I actually don't like that. And I also don't like that it's now 8:00 at night and now I'm ready for bed. Like, I don't enjoy that either. And so, yeah, just trying to figure out exactly what works and what doesn't, and continually trying to really understand what are my motives here, and like what's actually happening, and do I like it or not, and if I don't like it, then what needs to change.
Now, do you get anxious when you smoke weed or anything like that? Do you get paranoid?
No.
It doesn't hit you at all?
So I've noticed a little bit with rock climbing that there was another strain from a different farm. I won't say who. But I was climbing and I was like, I'm scared. I'm actually really scared right now to climb. And then other strains where I'll climb and I'm like, this feels great. Like, I'm not scared at all. Like, I'm able to go all the way to the top and feel safe, and kind of get into this kind of zen moment of like, I don't want to fall, so why would I be afraid of falling? And yeah, and so I allow myself to just enjoy the exercise experience. I think that's another huge part for me with the cannabis and exercise stuff, is because I have been a student for so long, and just, I understand too much about exercise for me to like actually enjoy it anymore. I can't just enjoy like going for a run. And so for a long time, I have to start the app to like, to see what my time is, and like just get so hung up on like data. What does the research say about this? What should my respiratory rate be? What should my heart rate be? And just, it made me not really enjoy exercise. And so smoking and exercising for me now, it allows me to just enjoy it, and to not, it's like when I go into climbing gym, I'm not there to like go climb the hardest things anymore. Like, that doesn't matter as much to me. I still, like, sometimes I do go in and I'm like, I'm feeling good, I'm gonna climb hard today, this is awesome. But other days I'm like, I'm not feeling it today, I just kind of want to like fuck around on, sorry,
no, you can cuss. Okay, yeah, oh like, yeah. You're good.
It's like sometimes I just like want to like feel what it would feel like to hang from this kind of rock, and like not
enjoy the experience.
Yeah, just enjoying it. Because it's really easy for me to get in my head about like, well, what are the biomechanics of what's happening right now? It's like, I don't need to have that be part of exercise all the time.
That's funny. It's almost, you're too ingrained in it. You've been a part of it for too long. You know too much, in a sense, that the enjoyment factor just kind of gets sidelined.
Right.
Are you worried about that happening with cannabis, or it does that job of pulling you back out, kind of grounding you?
I think, I mean, maybe it will happen with me, but right now I'm just still in this like awe and wonder phase of it. And all of these different research ideas are just so interesting to me, that I hope it doesn't turn into that. I think like the academic writing part has definitely made that like not as fun as it could be. But even like spending time out on some of my friends' farms, it's like the ergonomics that they're going, that the stresses that they're putting on their bodies, it's like, that's worth investigating, because that's fascinating. And so I'm just kind of, I always like thinking about research ideas, and then to be able to like have cannabis be part of that is really fun and really exciting for me. It's just a matter of doing all those studies that I now have ideas for.
The idea of rock climbing high freaks me out. Just thinking about that, but I'm not a climber. I want to get into it. I think it would be cool. I've done, the basic where you're attached at the waist to one of those automatic levers.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't really you're not going crazy.
Yeah.
And it was fun, but the idea of doing that stone would freak me out a little bit.
Right.
I would just fall.
And that's okay.
Yeah. But that's part of it, right?
Right.
Do you have that moment where you feel like I'm too in my head because of the weed?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's and that's what I've realized with certain strains that
Is it can
there
freak you
are
out.
some strains that do freak me out, and there's other strains where I'm like, this is awesome. Like this feels so cool. But yeah, like with you know, kind of back to that my go-to statement of like, cannabis is not for everyone. Like don't use it if it's not for you. And same thing with like if even if you use cannabis all the time, if you are not familiar with rock climbing, don't start out rock
Don't
climbing
go
high.
100 out of the gate.
Exactly. Yeah, like start like just test it out sober first, and then you can maybe add stuff to it after that. But yeah, you don't have to go right away.